Daphne, and I'm here to do kind of a tag for you. So Jennifer over at Insert Literary Pun here did a kind of tag video where she talked about classic novels and then paired them with contemporary novels. And Laura Frey tagged me to do this video, and I thought I would do this video but with a different spin on it to a degree, just because of the podcast that Rachel and I do, Books in the Freezer, where we do topic-based horror episodes. I have had to read so much horror this year that it's in me, and I just have so many horror books that I want to talk about. And so I thought I would talk about classic novels and then talk about a horror novel that I'm going to pair it with. So the first pairing I'm going to talk about is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde versus Rosemary's Baby by Ira Levin. This isn't super contemporary. I think this came out in 1967. You know what? It was within the last 100 years, so I'll take it. And the thread that is tying these two books together is the Faustian bargain. So in The Picture of Dorian Gray basically kind of sells his soul for eternal youth. And in the novel, there is a portrait that is painted of him. And instead of Dorian Gray ever aging, the portrait that he has hidden up in an attic ages instead. And Rosemary's Baby is a little different because there is a bargain made, but Rosemary is not the person that is benefiting from this bargain. Instead, she is, in a way, the bargaining chip. So she is not the person who is reaping the benefits of this bargain. Instead, she is the one paying the price. She's going through quite an interesting ordeal, and just everyone around her is closing in on her. They are telling her not to listen to her intuition. So it is very interesting in that way, because usually in these bargain stories, a person, you know, makes a decision that they think like, oh, well, I'm giving this up in exchange for, you know, youth, looks, beauty, success, fame, money, but then you see the dark side. Well, Rosemary isn't the one who is reaping the benefits from that, so all she is kind of getting is the bad side of that, and it's a great story. Also, like, one of my favorite movies ever. So that is example number one. Example number two is Shirley Jackson's We Have Always Lived in the Castle, and I am pairing this with A Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay. Now, in We Have Always Lived in the Castle, the Blackwood sisters are very strange. They are kind of ostracized from their small town because their whole family was poisoned, and no one really knows how to take them or what to think of them, and we are being told this story through Mary Cat's perspective, and she is 18 years old. Her voice reads so much younger though, and she just has this very strange way of looking and relating to her world that just, as you're reading it, you are also not sure how to take her. And A Head Full of Ghosts is also about two sisters, and A Head Full of Ghosts was inspired by We Have Always Lived in the Castle, and you see that in a lot of ways in the fact that it is about two sisters who, through events, also end up being ostracized by the public, and the fact that the younger sister is named Mary, spelled M-E-R-R-Y, which is a nod to Mary Cat Blackwood in We Have Always Lived in the Castle. The older sister is thought to be possessed by a demon, and the family decides to do an exorcism. And because they are so low on cash, they even agree to have it filmed as a part of a reality show. We are being told this story 15 years in the future by Mary looking back on her experiences as a child. So we are also getting that like older but younger voice through Mary, and she is also the one giving us her side of the story. So it's very good. I thought that was just an obvious pairing, and I definitely think you should read We Have Always Lived in the Castle before reading A Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay. My next pairing is a little weird, but stick with me here. My next pairing is Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov and Caroline Kepnes's You. The narrator telling us the story in Lolita is awful because he is a pedophile who is preying on his landlord's young daughter, Lolita. You know off the bat that he is basically a monster. But there is this weird experience when you're reading it and you are getting, you know, Humphreys's personality, and he is at times charming and smart and funny, that you find yourself laughing with him or agreeing with him in a point that he's trying to make, and you almost have to shake yourself out of it. And I found that to be the case a lot with You, because we are told the story by Joe, who is stalking this girl named Beck. He develops a very unhealthy, obsessive infatuation with her to where he breaks into her apartment and breaks in and hacks her social media and just starts stalking her and believing that this is just a part of their love story and that he's doing things for her own good and because he loves her and so they can be together. But he is so snarky and funny that you find yourself laughing and almost liking Joe, that you have to say like, no, this guy is a psycho. But he's definitely a charming narrator that charms you into liking him, much like Beck is also charmed by him. So that is why I am pairing Lolita and you. My next pairing is Rebecca by Daphne DuMaurier and Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. Rebecca is about this young girl who marries this much older man, and he takes her back to his home, Manderley, and I think before you go into the story, you think the main girl is named Rebecca, and that is actually not the case. She goes back, she marries this much older man. He is a widower, and his previous wife was actually named Rebecca, and her presence and everything about her just haunts this place and ruining and haunting our main character's life. And you know, with all the stories, you don't know what to think of Rebecca or what kind of a person she was. I found that to be the case when I read Gone Girl. Gone Girl was the first Gillian Flynn book that I read. I was immediately sucked in. We are in Nick's perspective, and we only hear from Amy in the occasional diary entry. And so we are getting what he thinks of Amy. And he also has this very, like, I'm not sure what to think of her. Like, she was this kind of ethereal, enigmatic woman. And I just felt like they kind of held the same looming presence in the book. And I just thought they were written so well. Daphne DuMaurier, I really think, in a sense, was kind of like the Gillian Flynn of her time. So my next pairing is going to involve everyone's favorite ginger orphan. Not that one. That one. Anne of Green Gables, Ellen Montgomery's Anne of Green Gables to Nick Cutter's The Troop. And I know you're thinking, like, what could possibly link those two together? Did you say Prince Edward Island? It's Prince Edward Island. So Anne of Green Gables is this beautiful, heartwarming story of Anne coming to live in, you know, Prince Edward Island, and it's this beautiful setting, whereas The Troop follows this Boy Scout troop that's going on this annual trip and they're on Prince Edward Island. But when a horrific biological agent is introduced, things go south very fast. This book is gruesome. I do not recommend it for people who have not read a bit of horror and have maybe a tolerance level built up. It is gory. It will make your stomach churn. So I thought it made a great obvious pairing with the beloved Anne of Green Gables. So anyway, guys, that was my very genre-focused classic versus contemporary pairing video that I am doing. So if you are watching this, I am tagging you. If you maybe read a certain genre of books and you want to do this tag, I think that would be a really fun spin on it. So if you read like science fiction or fantasy or romance or anything like that, I would love to see videos like that. Anyway, guys, I mean, or if you just want to do literary fiction, that's cool too. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye!